Join us as we sit down with remarkable individuals from various walks of life who faced their fair share of obstacles and emerged with positivity. Each episode, you'll hear inspiring stories, actionable tips, and wisdom that can supercharge your own journey when using adversity as motivation. Let's learn together. Welcome to Lauer Power.
Episode here. In today's episode, we're going to chat with the fellas from Freedom Fighter Outdoors. Scott Fabrizio and BJ Carpentier are joining us. What a great organization. And before we get started on that, Chad, we had a chance to go to Fermano Foods yesterday. What are your thoughts on that experience?
We went to Fermano Foods and it was a blast. I had a great time, and everybody was so lovely there. I think people really enjoyed themselves, and I know I certainly enjoyed myself as well. So it was a lot of fun. That was kind of like our first time, doing something like that.
Yeah. So,
and listen, you were great. I was just the little mic man for you.
I don't know about that, but we're taking Lauer Power on the road, right? So Fermano Foods was awesome to have us, and John Anderson and Chad Geis, their leadership team there, had us over to kind of do some motivation for their team of, I think, nearly 400 people. So I think we need to highlight their business here locally. Everybody likes to talk about the negative things. I mean, Fermano Foods is a thriving business right in our backyard, and they can be found in grocery stores all over the state. So we want to continue to support them and everything they do here for our local economy.
Yeah, and while you're listening out there, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, share away. As you look at me, I am on the couch today, Chad. You got the headquarters spot. You did such a good job at Fermano's. I said, you know what? You're going to be front row and center. Look how great you look right there.
I'll tell you what, I kind of like the front and center look, but I'm more excited to introduce our guests today than have the camera on me. That's
all right.
Sure.
Well, hey, I'm cool with that.
Okay. So,
all right.
So Scott and BJ, thanks for joining us. I'm going to start with you, BJ, right? So, yes, I've been sponsoring some local golf tournaments and looking for ways to give back to our community. And at Chad's Stone State Open, I was able to kind of see you guys there, and as well as at the Fight the Blight last week, I see you guys here in our community doing some really, really good stuff, raising money for Freedom Fighter Outdoors. And today's episode is really to educate folks about the organization, how you're giving back to the community, and what you guys stand for. So just to get started, would you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about how you've gotten involved with FFO?
Sure. So BJ Carpentier. Back in the day, I got home from the military. I deployed to Iraq. When I got home from Iraq, there was no jobs anywhere. I couldn't find work anywhere, so I was working for cash, trying to hustle, making my way. And one of my friends called me. He moved to Florida from our local area. I believe he was in Elysburg at the time. He moved down to Florida. He reached back to myself and a friend of mine, and he said, hey, I just found out about this organization. They're taking vets out fishing. All you have to do is give them your information. They'll put you on a flight. They'll pick you up at the airport. They'll pay your meals. They'll pay your hotel stay. They'll guide you on a couple trips. When you leave, you'll get picked back up. You'll put back on a plane. You just have to get back to your airport. So I couldn't turn down the offer, and I missed him. We haven't lost contact for quite a bit. So another close friend of mine and I, we packed up, we went. Fantastic time. I mean, you feel like royalty the whole time you're there. But the more important thing about that one trip was I was removed from the military pretty quick. So I extended my contract to voluntarily deploy to Iraq. And when my extension ran up, they lifted the stop loss, and I had the ability to come home or stay. Discussed a few things with my upper echelons, and I kind of told them where I was looking, and I was more than willing to stay in the military. I kind of had a path that I wanted to follow that they couldn't guarantee me I could follow. So I decided, I called my wife for the second time in 7 months on a sat phone, and I said, hey, here's my options. I think we're going to come home. So I was able to come home. I was one of the first ones to come home from Iraq as the stop loss was lifted. So I came home. I had 0 adjustment period. I had a 30-day leave out. So when I came back from Iraq, I hit Colorado, Fort Carson. I had 30 days, I was already back to being a civilian right out of the gate. So there was no calm down, there was no readjustment, there was no nothing. But more importantly, I left my guys over there that I voluntarily extended to go to combat with. So I struggled with that a lot. Like, that really got to me bad. So going on that one trip with FFO, I come home from it and I thought, man, I met so many good guys that went through the same thing I did, and nobody complained about it. It was just nice to have somebody to talk to about it. And of course, when you put a bunch of vets and alcohol together and fishing, it's more laughs than you can imagine. So as soon as I got home from that trip, I began raising money, gaining sponsors. That's how I started. I started giving back to the Florida chapter. So Florida it's based out of Lighthouse Point, Florida. It snowballed, and eventually it became us being a brand in PA, and I'm basically running a chapter of it in Pennsylvania, the entire state of Pennsylvania, which we also take people to New York, we take them to Georgia, we take them anywhere we can possibly. But every bit of money we raise in this area is going to go right back into these veterans from the community. And by community, I mean, we're tight-knit. We're talking coal region people. We're talking, hard-working blue-collar people that need these things, don't have the opportunity to get them themselves. And it's been unbelievable the way this thing has grown and kind of blossomed into a family-type thing. We don't beg anybody for money. They're offering money. We show them where the money goes. We stretch our own money to make things happen sometimes, but we've gained some wonderful sponsors. We've gained some wonderful people that just are wholeheartedly with the opportunity we're giving these veterans nowadays.
Well, BJ, what a story. And obviously, I have a question for you. I've gotten hit with this a few times. What are your thoughts when somebody thanks you for your service? Is that something you like to hear or don't like to hear? I've gotten conflicting feedback on this.
So I've pre-programmed my brain to say, thank you for thanking me. But no, I can speak for numerous veterans that say it is appreciated to hear that. It's kind of a double-edged sword because we don't need thanks. We don't want thanks. It was a contract we signed. No matter what branch, what length of service, what rank you made, anything of that nature, in my mind, you signed the papers, and as soon as you started your active duty career, or even if it's National Guard, Air Guard, whatever you want to be in, you have that contract saying that you're there. Like, it's whatever the government wants of you, and you're more than willing to do it. So when you come home, it's nice to be thanked. But I think the way we're thanking the veterans is more of they accept that thank you way more. But I will tell you, I love when people tell me thank you for your service, because it's recognizing an extremely small community that exists in our society today.
Yeah, and as somebody who's not in the military, I think the reason why we say that is, like, we truly can't imagine, the things that you've done or had to do or, have seen in your life. For people who, aren't there next to you, I think it's just a way of, just saying, hey, man, we appreciate you.
Yep.
And it sounds like what FFO is doing is saying the same thing, but, it's bringing that community to say, hey, we got you. And, we see you, even though you've come back, and we're trying to, reacclimate you to civilian life. So what a great organization. And I want to transition to you, Scott. So Scott, you've obviously been the face of this as well. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your role with FFO and how you're supporting the organization?
So my role, I guess you could say, was kind of, inherited. When your best friend comes back and tells you how great a time it was, and you see the passion in his eyes, of course you want to get involved. I mean, if you don't get involved, you're what are you doing? I had the resources at the time. I'm like, hey, let's help out. And then, the Fabrizio way, I hit the ground running with it. And I would call BJ and be like, hey, I got you involved in this. Hey, I got you involved in this. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, why not? Like, why not reach out? Why not get connections? I mean, you guys talk about sales. Who cares if somebody tells me, no, I can't do it? Move on to the next one. Mm-hmm. So when I got involved, it almost became like a sales call, where I'm asking these people, hey, would you ever want to have some veterans hang out and go hunt? Sure, why not? I would love to. Or I would go to a restaurant and be like, hey, can we do a benefit night? Absolutely, why not? And then let us pack the place and give back to the veterans. Let your restaurant give back. reaching out to breweries, be like, hey, did you ever consider doing a Freedom Fighter outdoor beer? And well, no. And then we do it. So it's just, I think it became like that personal connection where I was like, yeah, I didn't serve. You know, my uncle served, my best friend served, my sister, my wife's sister served, and all that. And it's just that feel good, I guess. Hey, here you go. Like, people ask me all the time, well, why are you involved? You're not a vet. And I'm like, well, why aren't you involved? Why aren't you? Like, what is preventing you from hanging out? What is preventing you from, here's $5? Or the hardest question I always ask people is, what's preventing you from saying thank you to a veteran? Answer it. Not many people can. And I think just having that feeling of giving back, seeing the smiles on the faces, seeing him go nuts because I called him, like, BJ, I got us involved in this. You got to show up here next week. And he's like, dude, I can't. I'm like, nope, you got to be there.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's all good. And I mean, I love that saying, all good, because BJ absolutely hates it. Because I'll call him and be like, hey, I got us involved in this, or I talked to this guy. We got to get some veterans here to hunt. Well, what are we going to do? I'm like, don't worry about it. It's all good. And it just drives him nuts. So, I mean, Chad knows. Like, it's
never all good.
It's always all good.
What are you going to do?
Once all good.
It's all good.
always been panic, at the disco at the last second, and then it works out.
And it's all good.
But it wasn't all good when you said it was. It was all good after I fixed everything.
It's all good, man.
You guys fight like a married couple.
Well, I did marry him.
He is, and see, like, how great is that? Like, I help him out with the organization. He was my priest at my wedding. So,
Yeah, that's like, and I love.
I was your DJ at the wedding.
He was a DJ.
Yeah,
that's awesome, and I love the Fabrizio way. Right, the Fabrizio way is why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you doing something? I don't care what it is, and maybe it is panic, but we're still going to do it.
We're gonna have fun doing it.
Yeah,
like, again, you strike out so many times. Eventually, you're gonna hit a home run.
Yeah. I love it. So you guys did a video recently, and Mike Morgan, I mean, I just love the guy, right?
Legend.
Love him. And, he makes me laugh, and, every day I see him at the golf course or whatever. But tell me a little bit about these events. Like give me a little bit of a view. Like, when you go on a hunt with a bunch of veterans, like, tell me what that's like.
Well, do you want to talk about Martz's first?
Yeah, so one of the first hunting events we planned was with Martz's Gap. Mike Martz is a close friend of mine. His family are wonderful people, multi-generational business. We asked him one day, like, hey, would you be willing to allow us to bring some vets down? He said, yeah, man, what do you need? And I said, well, if I bring, the first hunt was I'll bring 5 veterans. I'll pay for a dog to guide because we don't have our own dog at the time. I'll pay for the birds to be cleaned and all this stuff like that. We were just kind of feeling it out. And Mike immediately said, listen, here's this many pheasants, shoot them up, bring as many guys as you want. I'll have two guys to run dogs for you. Everything's covered. Don't worry about it. So, okay, we'll make it work. Well, that we did 6 years with him now. But we evolved that into kind of, what we like to do is we like to alleviate, not even hardships, but we'll say like responsibilities for the people that are giving us something. So Martz's, we then took it as, he gives us amount of birds. Out of the funds we raise, we put extra birds out. He still donates the bird cleaning, which is like $3 a bird. We shoot like 20-something birds. Yeah. But we started having 2 veterans run their own dogs on the hunt. So instead of using one of his guides, we'll have 2 veterans show up. Both of them have excellent hunting dogs. Lee Brown, his dog passed away, but that dog was phenomenal, but he's working on a new one. But Roy Manbeck runs his dog, and I'm telling you, they're great, but it's veterans running veterans, so the entire group became a veteran knit business. It was just like, and when we get there, everything's taken care of. They just show up, we go out, we hunt, we have a great time, we come back, we'll cook them a lunch of some sort, we'll eat, we'll break bread a little bit, send them on your way. That's a one-day thing that just kind of clicks, and it's very smooth. We took a break from it this year because some hardships in the business, and we thought it'd be better off for us to let's take a year gap on it, rebuild, and come back even stronger than we were.
Yeah. And then to go to the Mike Morgan, I mean, Mike is just an amazing guy. Like, I hate talking him up because it's Mike Morgan and everybody wants to, bust his balls and have a good time because it's Mike. But, Mike reached out to us after he saw like what we do and all that. And he said, I want to donate my dogs and I want to take guys rabbit hunting. And we're like, this is tough because, at Martz's, it's guaranteed they're going to get a bird. Pretty much, as long as they can shoot, they're guaranteed to get the bird. And he's like, I want to do it. We're good. And I'm like, okay. So I called BJ. I said, hey, we need some vets. We're going rabbit hunting. He's like, what are you talking about? And don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all good. Drove him nuts. So the first day of the hunt, we had two veterans we took out, and it snowed. And I'm like, what are we going to do? And again, it's all good. Don't worry about it. And we had a blast. And from that hunt, it just spiraled because you saw the passion that Mike had. And people would ask him, Mike, what are you doing? And it would almost get a tear in his eye because he's like, no, I just want to give back. I just want to give back. And then Mike reached out to Don Jacobs from Pennsylvania Outdoor Life. And then he came on it, and you could, the more and more, and then Chad's video with Mike and Ron Menepace just going, Mike's just an amazing guy. He almost gets to tears when he talks about, giving back to these guys and doing what he does. And it's a fun time. We always get rabbits out. We always have fun. Everybody's laughing. But, Mike's just amazing, the fact that he reached out. He's like, whatever you need. And he's the same way. He shows up with soupies, with cheese. You're not allowed to give it to the dogs, but I give it to him anyway because what are you going to do,
That's great. That's great. And where's the organization heading? So people who want to be involved or support it, where are we heading?
So we've made some leaps and bounds this year. This year was a very positive year, and that's a lot thanks to Scott and Chad and the local community in itself. We've gone from raising $200 here, $200 there to a few thousand, another few thousand. We have Rusty Rail is going to be hosting a 5K down in Mifflinburg, and that's another one we're going to benefit from. So we're ground and pound people. We just keep grinding. But we have now expanded Traveling Man Charters in New York. We're booking 2 more trips with them. Excellent time we had fishing lake trout.
Blair Wagner from Schmoking guy. Yep. We get on the boat. I'm like, where are you from? He's like, I graduated at Lourdes in 2019. I'm like, what?
Well, the funny thing was,
happens all the time.
Of us on that boat all graduated from Lourdes. Time frames.
Yeah.
So he's a local guy trying to get his foot's in the door. He's running. We had an excellent trip with him, so we're going to go ahead and book 2 more trips with him. So we'll take 2 more sets out. So that's a New York trip. We're going to fire Martz's back up. We'll do the rabbit hunt again. Nate Richards is back in for shooting some deer on his properties that he farms.
And there's a guy too. We did when we did Stone State Sports. Nate was on and talking about when he went there, and I said, Nate, did you ever think about it? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And that hunt, I wish we could do again. We had Russell Carter. Great dude, paralyzed, neck down, I think it was. And I remember calling him, I'm like, Rusty, you want to hunt some deer with us? And he's like, I'm in a wheelchair. I'm like, who cares? Do you want to do it? And he's like, yeah. I said, listen, I want you to go. And he's like, buddy, he goes, I never hunted anything with 4 legs. And that one always hit me like, oh, crap. He was in it.
He was in it, yeah.
So Nate was awesome. Nate had a trailer hooked up to get his chair in and out. We were picking him up out of the chair. His brother helped.
So his brother, Dan, was also a veteran, and he's always been a caregiver to his brother. The support he gives that, he's everything he needed, he helped him with that day especially. So we had not only the brothers, we also had the dad come up, and they witnessed the whole hunt with us that day. Rusty already had a track chair, so his wheelchair could go out in fields, he could do whatever. But Dan is a fantastic labor worker, and he had made a mount system for a rifle to sit into Rusty's shoulder. And they kind of adapted a hook so that Rusty couldn't squeeze this finger, but he could pull his arm back and the hook would pull the trigger. We spent 3 hours getting him on a deer. We have awesome photos of that. Nate Richards was just creeping behind him, and a neighbor used his spotting scope and found a buck bedded in way out. So we spent the whole day getting him creeping in on that track chair. We got him there.
It's the
got
hook
to the
slid.
moment, he pulled, and the hook let loose, and it didn't pull the trigger. So he couldn't get the deer. But I'm telling you, he'll talk about that for hours every single day.
Oh,
about
that's
the
great.
chance he had to do it. So.
And just to see like the people come together, and they're like, what do you need? Like Nate's where he farms, he had people calling him, be like, hey, there's a couple deer bedded down, bring the guy over, get him here. And like, we're driving in a truck with a track chair in the back of the trailer, doing 60 down the, whatever. All safe, we were buckled, but
Safety first.
Safety
always.
first.
Those are the stories that I think people need to hear.
Yeah, it's really crazy, and I know I talked about it before, but like with you guys doing this podcast, like why not smoking? When I got involved in this, and BJ's like, "Hey, we're gonna hunt at Martz's," I'm like, "Okay, well, what are we doing the rest of the year? Like, what's around? Like, obviously, like, what are we gonna do?" And then to have this person reach out and that person reach out, and I talked about Josh Weiser, Southern Columbia grad. I reached out to him because he does his own knives. He made us a knife and said, "Here you go, guys, raffle it off." Like, who would have ever thought in the coal region these people exist? And they do. They're out there. You just got to be willing to ask.
Yeah, and it's funny, Nate. I know Nate and Nate's wife Missy for years. You talk about folks like that, and he's the type of guy that does a lot of that stuff behind the scenes, right? But there's people like that all over. And we're kind of being loud for a reason. Chad and I talk about that. I didn't tell my story until 6 months ago. But we're getting so much feedback because we're putting it out there. So we took that risk. And I think telling these stories, we're creating momentum, right? And our goal is to hear a story like you just told me to create more momentum for FFO, right? Because for every one of those people that you're telling a story about, there's 10 more that want that experience, So we really, really appreciate that for sure. Tell us what else. What else is in the future?
Well, we got you're going to be going on some bow fishing.
Yep, we'll be going bow fishing on the Susquehanna with Todd McKinney and his son Hunter. They do a great job. Beautiful boat. All the lighting. They have all the bows there already. Last year we took out an active duty Navy guy. He loved it. He had a great time.
Couldn't shoot worth crap though.
No, he didn't. He may have nicked one, I think.
Yeah,
but,
so it's another local. I mean, and that's the cool thing we do. Everything's local.
Yeah.
Like that. The guy we took out was Timmy Wikoski from Southern Columbia.
Yep.
Had a great time. His family was super thankful, super grateful. I mean, we love to make fun of him because he missed, but that's a part of the day.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, you have to be able to bust on each other, right?
Honestly, the hardest part of everything we do is getting veterans.
Ugh.
And it's not even getting veterans. I worked for the PA DOC for 20 years now. 90% of our employees are veterans. 85% of them will say, give it to somebody else. Somebody else needs it more than I do. And that is honestly the hardest job. We can get hunts. We can go anywhere. I mean, if you tell me you want to hunt a caribou somewhere, well, I'll figure it out. We'll pay for it. We'll go do it. The problem is somebody saying, well, I deserve that hunt. I want to go with. So that's like the hardest problem. And our area is surprisingly loaded with veterans because, and it's my theory, but in my situation, I went to high school. I graduated, we'll say. I decided to try college, 0.75 out of 2 semesters. I thought, well, they told me not to come back, so I didn't have to make a decision there. I had no other options. It's that or I'm just going to sit in this spiral. I'm not going to leave. I got to see the world. I got to see other states. I lived in Colorado for 4 years. I loved every second of it. But when I came home, I wasn't that guy who thought I deserved something. The only reason I went on this first trip with FFO was because a friend recommended it. And I thought, man, it'd be great to see him again. So what we try and do is most of the events we do, I'll post on my personal page. Scott will share them. A lot of people will share them once I post them. But the best way to do this is through veteran referrals. The last rabbit hunt, I invited a guy locally from the area. I said, hey, would you used to hunt rabbits? You want to try it out? He's like, yeah, I'll do it. But hey, I have a buddy. Do you mind if I can make room for him? So yeah, we'll make as much room as you need. We'll pick up a U-Haul if we have to. But he showed up. Those two had a blast, and that coincidentally was filmed, and those guys couldn't shoot the broadside of a barn.
A lot of pressure when that, I mean. Yeah.
When Chad shows up with the camera, you got to perform, you know?
Well, yeah.
Well, he was tailing the legend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had no
I had a
pressure from
pretty important
to the
job to
legend.
do.
I think your hardest job that day was hitting the beat button for the 4-letter words.
The hardest job was putting that video together. It took a long time.
Without hearing the F word coming from Mike. I mean, you don't know which way he's looking at the camera.
It's all good. It's all good.
Stop saying that.
What are you going to do? No, but I mean, and then the other thing we're looking forward to, I mean, we just were able to, with some of the money raised, we're taking some guys out for night hunting for some predators. And that's just a great thing, too, because it's at night. There's nobody really else around. You know, you get guys like Nate Richards that says, hey, go ahead, hunt coyotes on my land. Here you go. You know, he shows us the spots and we call him and be like, hey, we got a guy to take out. Yeah, go ahead. Like, you know, just having that available in the community and having people reach out and saying, hey, use my land, or hey, use this, or I would love to take guys here. It's just great. You know what I mean? It's to the point where there's days I'm like, BJ, where are we going to find guys to hunt? And again, going back to what he said, that's the hardest part, to get a guy to be like, yes, I can make it. And then literally it's the day we're meeting at the wayside waiting to go. And it's like, where's your boy at? Where's your boy at? Where is he? Where is he? And it's like,
yeah,
it's nerve wracking. So
that leads me to the next question. Like, how do we kind of get more folks that are veterans aware of this, and let them know, like, hey, don't be too proud to participate, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're aware of us. I think they're, maybe BJ could talk about it more. Maybe it's like a mental thing where I don't want to go because I shouldn't go. It should be somebody else.
It leads back to that whole guilt thing I said when I came home and I left them there, so I had to find a way to cope with that. I think it's the same theories. We're selfless people. We really are. Like, deep down to our core, we sacrifice everything. You'll see us struggle to death before we let somebody else struggle that doesn't need to struggle. So that the mentality we have is somebody else needs it more than I do. But the thing is, I have seats to fill. Like, I need to fill these seats. People are offering us stuff to do. You got to come with. Mm-hmm. And it's picking up ground now. Like I said, the more veteran referrals we're picking up, the more seats we're being able to fill. Yeah. And now we're gaining more opportunities. Like, we've become branded in the area. Like, granted, it's a Florida-based organization, but me running all of Pennsylvania, we're branded. I mean, like, it's not uncommon to see our sticker on the back of a car when you're just at the mall finding a parking spot.
Yeah,
we're really gaining ground as far as that goes, exposure goes, and things like this is fantastic. This is something that we're not only educating you on what we do, but now listeners can say, oh, I didn't know it was that intimate. I thought this was going to be this big production. No, this is a local farmer allowing us to use his land. A couple guys are going to go out. We're going to have a great time. We're just going to joke. We're going to ball bust. We're going to spend the entire day just being around like people. Mm-hmm. So that's, the more people that get to experience it, the more it spreads quicker.
And I think, too, it almost forms like a sense of like kind of, I guess you could say, a sense of community where this person went on a hunt. Oh, I know this person went on a hunt. And then, they get talking, they get, interacting. Me and BJ bringing guys down, whether it's to the wayside or to a different place, and just hanging out. And it kind of builds that FFO family where if something does happen, it's like they all come together. Like, okay, what do we need? What do you need? What do you need help with? Like, what can we do? So
it's funny. Like, I can't relate because I wasn't in the military, but I mentioned on a previous podcast that I was really nerding out on the blue zones, and the 5 blue zones are for people who don't know, that's the 5 areas of the world where there's the most centenarians, meaning, people who've lived to be 100 years old. Okay. And they studied these places, and really the number one factor for longevity was their sense of community. It wasn't like these places didn't have gyms. Right. They didn't have, they walked to the grocery store, a lot of them. But the number one thing was they felt like they had such a sense of community and support from each other that they lived a great long life. And it's funny because I think in particular, the people that I do know that have been in the military, they have such pride in that. But to your point, sometimes it's about other people, and to bring them together and give them that sense of community, I think is super, super important. So I'm super proud of you guys, and keep up the great work. And now I think we'll be able to educate more people about the organization and what's coming in the future.
And I mean, again, like the stuff that you guys do, the stuff that Chad did for us in the past, just helps getting our name out there more. And stuff WNEP did for us with Outdoor Life just helps get our name out there more. And if there's veterans that want to come on a hunt, get a hold of myself, you guys, BJ. There's a link on our website. Like, please sign up. Like, we would love to get new blood out there to hunt. We have some guys that are at the call, like, hey, I need you. Okay, they'll come, but we want to get new guys out there.
And where can folks donate if they're just looking to support the organization and not go on a hunt?
So you can go right onto our website, freedomfighteroutdoors.org. There's a donate button right there. You could choose your package if you just want to make a one-time, a recurring, anything like that. But I really encourage, if people are local, or if you're outside the viewing area or local area and you hear this and you want to make a donation, that's a good way to do it on the website. But if you're in our area, in our surrounding, basically in Pennsylvania, like, we do fundraising all the time. And honestly, that's one of my best ways of networking is we don't beg people for money. Like I said before, we prefer to just build a relationship, let people know how genuine we actually are. We've gone broke before. I mean, we've made it work with nothing. Now we're finally gaining the ground where we can start, like, doing cool stuff. But if you can attend an actual fundraiser that we do, like Kurt Mosser, I know you guys had him on. Excellent. He is a businessman. Like, that guy is business savvy, smart, genuinely good person to us. Been with us for a long time. We do an annual event with him for St. Patrick's Day, which has blown up. This thing's like enormous.
I stopped this year and saw it. I mean, it was something.
It's a great
It
time.
was something.
Minus the lack of a DJ that used to really kill it.
I'm retired.
Get out of the business.
I'm retired.
How many times, Chad, did he say in your lifespan of his DJing career, I'm retired. I'm retired.
I'm retired.
Well, we have
your nose is
Too
growing
long in
there,
the tooth, pal.
I think
That's
we got
it.
your predecessor. We're gonna have on board soon.
He's gonna spin. He's gonna play the Tootsie Roll and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But
I'm done.
those local small events like that they're really good, and it keeps the real heartbeat to the region for us. And again, we're not just claiming the coal region is where we're working from, but if you would have seen us 6 years ago to compared to where we are today, the heartbeat of this town is fantastic. The coal region, the Shamokin, Coal Township, Elysburg, that whole surrounding area. Even the Lime Mountain District has been huge with us.
And I mean, not to give the plug to the Rusty Rail, but since we started, we did the event at Bruisers, and we said we want to do all Rusty Rail beers here this night. At that point, Rusty Rail was that young. They didn't have 15 beers to put on, but they made them. And that place was packed. I think it was an hour and a half wait to get in the door.
Wow.
Because it was a fundraiser night. And, we had our logo on the beer can. We have veterans design beer cans for us. And Rusty Rail's like, sure, what do you need? Here we go. And then they give a kickback to us for it. I mean, just to reach out. And again, they could have said no, but I'm going to ask.
Yeah. And Danielle Houts talked about that, about Oasis in Shamokin. And it's like, I'm so proud of that community. The people just can't wait to help and give back, right? So the leadership topic of the day I'm going to scrap. I had a leadership topic of the day. I do it on every podcast. And today we're changing it to the Fabrizio way. And BJ's not going to like this, but it's all good. So Scott, talk to me a little bit about that. Like, where did that come from?
So I hate to stress. I hate to worry. I
hate to work.
Yeah.
I work very hard. I just like to. Nothing gets done efficiently and effectively in chaos. So if I could sit there and say, "Don't worry about it. It's all good," just to try to bring that down a little bit, I love to do that. The second thing I love to do with all good is the fact that BJ hates it. So anybody that knows, if you can get your hooks in, you're going to keep pulling that. So when he calls me and he's like, dude, what do we got going? Who do we got lined up? I'm like, relax. It's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good.
And he hates it. So I love it. But, and you know it, you guys know it, in sales. You go up, you go to account, you talk about something. No, I'm not. Don't worry about it. Are you going to hang your head and be like miserable the rest of the day? Or are you going to walk into the next people like, it's all good, man. I lost that time, but I'm going to go kill it here. Like, it's all good.
Dude, I absolutely love that. And it's so funny because Chad's mocking you back there. But as I went on stage yesterday to speak to 400 people, I was a little nervous. And he looked at me and he just goes, it's all good, baby cakes.
It's all good.
That's what he said. He said, it's all good, baby cakes. Like he wasn't stressed at all.
Zero.
And I'll be honest. I mean, it's pretty awesome to have that outlook. And
out of all
he is what he is to me.
Yeah.
He is to you.
Yes. Because I'm not like that,
I
DJ.
overplan. I schedule. I triple check things. I'll text him the night before the event. Hey, did you check in with those guys? Yeah, it's all good. And say yes or no. Yes or no is all I need. Out of the whole thing is yes or no.
And I know the fact that he wants the yes or no.
Yeah.
But what am I going to do?
Right. You got to give it to him.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Come on.
Come on. Get out of here.
I mean,
what are you going to do?
It's all realistically, like you think about it, like these events we do, yes, is there stress? Absolutely. The hardest stress is making sure we get it there. But once they're there, it's all good.
Right.
You know, it's hunting. It's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
You know, they're out there having a good time. You know why? It's all good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I love it. And you know what? We all need to take that approach. It's funny. Chad and I were joking about negative comments on social media last week. And it's like, if everybody would just take a step down a little bit, like reduce the anxiety.
Well, what fun is that?
And just say, it's all good, man.
Just take a step down.
Let that person, let that person do them. Like, who cares what they're doing? That's their role. Yeah, be you. It's like, you know, so our leadership topic of the day for everybody listening is it's all good in the Fabrizio way. So Scott brought that today and I had to run with it.
It's all good. I mean, we need to. Can we trademark that, Chad?
I think you could.
We could take a look at that if you want to trademark.
I think we should.
I probably is trademarked already. We probably owe somebody like $40,000.
Theory right now.
I'm going to say no, and I'm going to look.
Of course you will.
And when I look and it's not trademarked, Stone State is going to fund the trademark process.
Yeah.
They already did. So we have to touch base real quick on that, the golf tournament.
Yep, let's hit it.
So all of our events are associated with fun. Everything we do, you leave it laughing. You never leave discouraged. Anything we do, even if we're taking veterans to a concert, they leave like, wow, that was great. You know, that was a blast. But I would tell you, I've been associated with some golf tournaments. We've had good times. I usually sponsor a hole. So the other theory is, I'll touch it and then I'll come back. FFO likes to donate back as well. So yes, we collect money for veterans. If somebody's running a golf tournament that is community related and a positive, good thing, the Boy Scouts were running tournaments for a while, I'll sponsor a hole there from that money. Because statistically speaking, fraction of those Boy Scouts coming up are eventually going to join the military. They're going to follow it all the way through Eagle Scouts and all the way through. They're eventually going to be in the military. But that's also a form of structure. From the youth age up, you're teaching structure. That's what I believe in. You should be structured your whole life. Scott's not.
No.
But we had one of the best times we've ever had was at the Stone State Golf Tournament. And FFO is fortunate enough to be the donor from the funds raised that day. And I'm going to tell you, it was fun. I know you were there, Chad.
It was an absolute blast.
I'm going to tell you, it's a young, positive, fun group, willing to donate. And that really wasn't even the issue because I told you at the end of the day, man, if we come out with a buck, I had a great time today. And this is great. The name spread fast. People were fully invested into not only FFO, but Stone State. And just the people I met there were fantastic people. I got to meet you for the first time there.
Yeah.
And the people that reached out said, "Hey, I don't care where the money's going next year. This was such a great time. I'm going to be back." And then I'm looking at the numbers of teams, and I'm like, maybe this might need to be a two-parter.
Yeah, I think it needs to go.
A a lot of people had ideas, you know.
It might be a two-parter.
Morning and an afternoon flight, because when you sell a tournament out in 3 hours, I mean, that's something.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shock. Here's the thing, and the way I market it, you have two kinds of people. You have golfers, and then you have people who play golf.
Yes.
I want people who play golf, right? Not to say I don't want golfers. Chad Lauer is a golfer, I would consider. But I really like people that want to come out on a Friday morning at 9 a.m., music cranking.
Yep.
Right? As soon as you get out of the gate, you get a drink on me. Like, let it rip, have a good time, and enjoy the game of golf, and also be there to benefit a great cause. And we were able to, over $6,000, $6,600 for the FFO, which was so much fun. And again, like it did sell out really quickly. And next year we have to go bigger and better.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's not overshadow your tournament just for FFO. You've given to the community prior to us. You've done tournaments to give back to the community before that.
Yeah.
So,
but
just the fact that we were allowed to be a piece of it this year was alone. When he told me about it, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be a good time.
Listen, if I could do that every day, honestly, if I could do that every day, that would make my whole life. And then, I mean, just to partner up with you guys was really, really great. And I know everybody there really enjoyed where the money was going. I know they did say, well, we don't care, but they were inquired to learn more about FFO and to learn about what all you guys do, and I think it was a great time. And the weather didn't help, or weather didn't hurt anything either.
Because when we put the photos out with the little hole we played with the cards, and people were able to see, like, oh, I know that guy. Oh, I know that guy. It gave that coming back to the community sense. So it's like, wait, oh, I know that guy. And then you could it's just that conversation to have. Like when they go back, hey, I saw your photo. And it just kind of drums up that family together community-ness where, oh, I know this guy. It's just that familiar with it. And again, I always like to brag about our breakdown. What, 96?
90 to 90-10.
90-10. 90% of a dollar goes to the veterans. 10% goes for marketing and
we no
website
longer have any employed people. We're all volunteer based. So
That's
there's no, and I won't bash a really large group that does the same type of larger work, but we'll say none of us get paid. Mm-hmm. We've all invested our own money to get this thing rolling to start. There's times where we're feast or famine. But again, like this type of stuff here and the people we meet and like the kind-hearted people that get this thing really rolling, now we're rolling. Yeah. Now we got some stuff to do. We got some ideas to pull out, and we're welcome to ideas too, by the way.
Yeah, and I had my vice president at Lauer Media drove up from New Jersey to participate, and he said it was the coolest golf tournament he's ever been in, Jeff Lewis. And, Chad stuck a par 3 on number 10, Chad's hole. He stuck one to 5 feet for us, and we missed the putt. So,
hey, listen,
I mean, it might have been the best shot.
You can take a horse to water, but you just can't make him drink.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? It's all good.
He was balling out there on number 10,
How many balls did you put in the pond?
I didn't put any in the pond. I think my stat was like, I'm going to say it was about 55% on the green.
Wow.
I think.
How many golfers put them in the pond?
A lot.
Now, do you want to explain how the hole, so they get the joke that I'm trying to make there about the pond? Because you tee off how far away from the pond?
You're, 10
yards,
feet.
Yeah.
10 yards away from the pond. And probably, 40 people put it in the pond?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great stat.
It's a good day.
It was a great day to be had, and everybody had a fun time doing it, for sure.
It's a beautiful thing.
So, guys, listen, I think that's all we have for the day. I truly appreciate you guys coming on the podcast. I think we're going to create some momentum here with FFO. I know I'm going to be more involved moving forward, and hopefully after people hear this, you guys are going to get more veterans on hunts.
I'm hoping.
You're going to get more people involved.
Yeah.
And I know we have, as much as we talk about golf, in my family in particular, we have a lot of hunters, I think, that weren't aware of this. So they're going to be kind of like, you know, interested in what you guys are doing a little bit more.
And if there's any farmers that want us to come and would allow us to hunt their property,
some doe or coyotes, or fox, or
just get a hold of us. I mean, we're not trying to like infringe on anything they're doing or anytime they hunt. If they say, hey, I'll let you guys hunt here the second week this day, okay, we'll make it work. And I'll tell BJ 1,000 times that week, you got it covered.
It's all good.
It's all good.
No, it's not.
All right, guys. That's all we have for the day. Can't wait to get started on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Are you a business owner, a leader, or an aspiring achiever looking to turn life's challenges into powerful fuel for your success? You've come to the right place. Get ready to unlock the secrets to turning life's hardships into your most powerful ally. Your hosts, along with our incredible guests, will help you tap into your own Lauer power and guide you towards the success you've always dreamed of.